I think it's a really nice car track combo. But yeah, hard to be fast like anywhere, but let's do some laps and see what you think of this. I tried to mirror the settings that you did before, the settings that you sent me. The only thing that might be wrong is maybe the direction of the wind, but I guess that's variable anyway. But I set it all to exactly what you sent me. So let's see what this is like. We're on the right date, we're on the right time of day, all that kind of thing. So it should be pretty much what you're expecting. Is there anywhere you're struggling here in particular in your practice so far?
Turn one, the one, the first right, basically where you have to slow down.
Yeah.
I think maybe turn four.
Yeah. Yeah, so after the crane of curves, I think it's not a hairpin, but it's called Old Hairpin, even though it's not a hairpin at all. It's a really, really fast right-hander at the bottom of the hill. Is that right?
Yeah, and then exactly, and then coming off the short straight before the long straight, there's a really long right-hander,
Yes.
which is, getting it set up because it's basically blind apex. So
Yep.
you turn in, that's a difficult one, and then of course the chicane, just coming in start finish straight. Because I thought it was the GP track, so I
Okay.
recently just discovered that I didn't need to do the back part of the track. So
Yeah, at least it's a nice short track. We can do quite a lot of laps practice. So as long as you're ready to go, we should probably just jump in and do some laps. Why can't I find you? There we go. I think we should just go do a bunch of laps. Let's go do like a 10 lap run because that's only going to be 10 minutes or so. So we can go really do like a bunch and then assess. Let me get on board with you. There we go. Whilst you're on your out lap, let's just have a chat. How's everything been with you? I haven't spoken to you in a while.
yeah, everything's been right here. So the Dutch round Grand Prix. I'm a member of basically it's called a board, but we have a gymnastics association or local association where I'm a member of the planning committee. So we had a meeting with all our instructors last round, so that basically put my drop round.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But still leading my division.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Right, I'm going to shut up and let you do some driving. I'll obviously just interject a couple of times if there's something important, but I'll be quiet largely. Now, I'll only talk to you on the straights. I appreciate that the tyres are going to take a few laps to warm up and get some fuel burnt off, so just get in the groove. I like the idea there of trying to cut that inside. You're not a million miles away there. It's just I find that going in too fast harms you more than being a little bit more careful. Like taking a slightly shorter distance through that long right seems to be quite beneficial, even though it feels like you're going in a little bit slow. Going in tight, accurate, and not understeering wide seems to really help the lap time. That's going to be a corner we pay particular attention to, but let's just do a few more laps before we judge anything. Okay, that's a bit nicer.
And then it seems the tires are really getting good at lap 4.
Yeah.
It's been like that every practice I've done.
That little sector, I think we're going to gain some time. Nice and accurate there. That's good. This is much better. Okay, so let's do another 4 or 5 at the end of this one. So at least you'll benefit from, you know, the fuel load coming down. So we're comparing against similar car condition. No, that's decent through the last corner. There's some really good parts. There's some parts which I'm sure you know you can gain some time in. So we'll just let you do a couple more. I appreciate the effort there. We're going to tweak some stuff into that corner to make it easier.
Yeah, basically came off the brakes way too early. Just felt like it had been impossible not to driven. As soon as you hit the accelerator, you could just feel it going off in a straight line.
So I think you can actually enter at the speed you went in at, but we need to stay off the accelerator basically whilst it's rotating. But we'll talk about it in detail when you can see it back. I'll just give you one little heads up before you get to turn one. So you can probably attempt that same speed again into that fast corner, but do one really smooth, slow steering input rather than like a sharp initial one. So kind of guide it into the fast corner that's coming up soon, rather than kind of throwing it in and getting straight back on the power. Okay, that's definitely better. So we can just like massage that technique a bit and nail it.
It's a tricky corner this one because it just keeps narrowing.
Yeah, yeah. You can gain a lot of time there when you nail it. Let's do two more. The damage is turned off, so it will just repair itself.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. That's fine. We'll go with that then. So we'll just take that data as it is. If you just hop out of the cockpit, I will grab that data up. Let's have a little look. I'm going to turn the music on. I've got this new thing where I've got music on the on like the recording, although for some reason I can't hear it. That's weird. How strange. Anyway, right, let's add your laps on here. Something weird's gone on with my audio settings because suddenly, you know, like how you were coming out of my monitor and stuff. I don't know what the hell's happened there. Right, so let's take that 1059. I know you've probably been quicker on other runs.
Probably around 153 or something like that, but that might just also be down to conditions.
Okay, yeah. So at least we're in the same conditions here. Right, okay, so as we can see, a lot of the track, you're very, very similar to me. But the real big... Okay, this is kind of as expected. You're only 1/10 down until we get to Old Hairpin, which I appreciate is the least hairpin-like corner ever. It's like... No, it's not even a 90-degree corner, but I don't know, it's called Old Hairpin. From that point onwards, it's like a cascade of... You know, like it's kind of, the time goes more and more and more and more and more. And the two places where it really goes really are Old Hairpin and the long old right-hander that we were talking about as well. So it's good that you kind of pointed to those two because they are the two that I think we can gain most at. But even between those two corners, the whole of this middle section, we've got like a gradual time loss, which we don't want. So we can fix that. Let's begin with forgetting about turn one. So on a good lap, you're pretty much there with turn one. It's less than a tenth, and I'm sure that wasn't the best one you've ever done. So that's fine. So let's completely forget it because this is where the low-hanging fruit is right here. So let's just zoom in and have a look, and we'll look at the video as well. So clearly, minimum speed through the middle there, we are significantly down on what we could be. Although it's only like 11 kilometers an hour, that's quite a big chunk when it's over such a long period, because although it's that at the peak, you're also some degree up to 11k down all the way from there all the way up to here. So it's quite a long section where we're giving away some time. But the main thing is the minimum speed. So a couple of things then. First of all, if it lets me zoom in, you're braking much later and sharper than me. So I'm doing like an early, gentle brake to just guide the car in. I'm really not trying to stop it. Although I am abruptly coming off the throttle. We saw this before, didn't we? Where your throttle release is like really slow. You're taking 981. You're taking like 30 meters or so to go from on throttle to off throttle, which is really interesting because mine's like 7 meters. I don't know why that is. Yeah, it is. It is. We've spoken about that before. That isn't like the reason for the main loss. I think that it's just, it would be better if it wasn't like that. The main thing is we can brake earlier and much more gently. And that'll just allow you to guide through. This car, as you see in loads of the corners on this track, and I watched it happen with you loads of times, this car is it's a real bastard because it gives you the confidence to turn in sharply initially, and it does what you tell it to initially, but then it doesn't have the aero to back that up. So it turns in and then it washes out after that. So we don't want to be in a position where we're getting that turn in that the car can't actually then deal with, if you see what I mean. We want to turn in at a rate where it never then washes out after we've done that initial turn, because otherwise you get in this kind of horrible grip slide situation. So to do that, we have to be like really like gently edging it in to some of these corners to maximize the speed you can actually maintain. That's definitely what I'm trying to do through here. You can actually see on my steering angle compared to yours, I know it's like a little bit more jagged, but really as an average from the turn-in point to the middle, I'm using a little bit less steering here. Like you see, even though I've got like spike on and off of like real small movements, if you took an average from like here to here, I'm using less angle. And I think that's because even though I'm going quicker, I'm just like gently guiding it in. And then the maximum angle is definitely a bit different. So you get down to 75 degrees and a little bit later than me, which also suggests it's already started to understeer a bit. Whereas my maximum is 67 and it reduces from that point onwards. So basically what we're going to try and aim for here is just to calm down the initial phase, be happier with this little bit here being slower, because you see I'm actually slower than you on the way, on the early phase here because I'm braking earlier, but then faster all the way through the middle because it's just doing what I need it to do all the way through. So that's going to be the biggest time gain. That's then going to carry us up the hill, which is why it's such a cumulative time loss. But there's another thing which is way easier than doing the right thing with the speed through the middle. There's another thing which is our positioning. So you see, as you leave Old Hairpin, you immediately transition over to the right to open up this corner. Even though this corner is the easiest flat corner in the world, even when you're right on the inside. So basically what I'm saying is you don't need to do those extra meters. So let's just watch the video of that, because this is going to be really, really obvious on the video here. And you'll never do it again after you see this. Not in this car, at least. So we'll get down to the Old Hairpin. We'll look at the actual Old Hairpin itself in a minute with the positioning, but it's this bit here. So from here, I'm basically going straight, because I know when I get to that curb there, I can still drive over that curb and then let the car flow wide on the exit of this corner. Whereas we do like this transition over to the right. We've just gone like 5 to 10 meters further. Don't actually make the apex anyway, even though we've gone wide. And then you make it to out here, which is roughly where you need to be. But we've just taken the long way there. So since we're generally with you, we're looking for like small differences. This is going to be one of those small ones. So this is maybe half a tenth to a tenth BC. So here we go. Old Hairpin, stay on the left. I've only opened it up enough to use that curb. So I'm not right on the grass, but I'm not over here either. Then it easily goes through here. And then we both end up in the same position here.
I was saying you were basically on the utmost left of the tire residue in the track.
Yes. Yeah, like here. This bit here, do you mean? Yes, exactly. Basically, I know that this corner, this left-hander here is really gentle. So even though I've just said we don't have much downforce, we've still got pretty sticky tyres and a bit of downforce, so a very gentle corner like that is fine. The main thing is just not making it more of a corner than it is. But let's just look at the entry tier. Whilst we've got my replay here, we'll look at yours again. Just because Old Hairpin is one of these, we're only going to really focus on these two corners in this first run anyway. So I'm braking early, like we said here, using like loads of entry, but getting it turned in really early. I could probably use a little bit more of the dirt there, but that's fine. And I'm not then like overreacting or applying extra steering angle. You see how from here, if I go ultra slow-mo, the steering down here is kind of, it's staying the same or reducing all the time. Just not trying to force it to do anything else. And what you'll definitely notice is, on the onboard, I'm hoping there's no, like, washout. So let's just go slow again. So turn in, and it's just like a progressive, gentle understeer. Like, and at full speed, it probably doesn't even look like understeer. It's just kind of doing what it lets you, but not asking for any more. But let's just look at yours just for comparison of positioning. Again, this is only one lap, and we're only looking at one sample here. But you might have positioned slightly differently on other laps. But let's just look at this. Right. So how wide are we here? This is good. We've given away a little bit of room here. I know it's hard to be on this, but I'm turning in from that, so I'm like out at the edge, just touching that teeny bit of grass just there, but immediately turning in from there. We're now turning in a bit later and then having to be a bit sharper, but you can get away with it because we've slowed down more. I obviously can't see your throttle trace here. Apex is roughly the same as what I did. And then you're pinching the exit a bit. You can see I'm letting it flow right out to where the dirt is here with my left tyres. So there's just a bit more room to play with, basically. Obviously, we don't want to go off on the dirt, or off on the grass, I mean. But there's just a little bit more entry room and a little bit more exit room, which, coupled together with the guiding it in gently, that's where that speed's going to come from there. One last thing, I think, is the downshift. So yeah, I think you're going down an extra gear, probably because you're expecting that 10k less speed. Yeah. Whereas if we brake softer and just stay in the same gear, I'm not going up to 6th and I'm not going down to 4th. I'm just staying all the way down the hill here in the same gear. So that's definitely another thing. We can simplify the gears. From the exit of turn 1, where I'm up to 5th, I just stay in 5th all the way down there, all the way up the next hill, and I don't think about a gear until I get to this corner here. So exit of turn 1 all the way to here, it's the same gear for me. Which again gives you like the breathing room mentally to just focus on the guiding it in. You're not thinking of like down in. It's like just go. And then you also don't have to worry about the car denying you a downshift. Because if you want to go in fast and it doesn't click down, it can obviously then make it wash out or not give you the rotation you're expecting. If you're not expecting an extra click of rotation, that's another thing that is removed from your mind through there. So anyway, that's the first one. So that's something we can definitely work on. And we already said with the positioning on the exit, you can just see how much shorter my line is there. That's all cool. Right, let's just skip straight to the long right-hander. I know there's some time in this one as well, but this one here is where you can see on the Delta there's like a step down. So, okay, so yeah, this bit here. In fact, it's easier when we zoom out on this one if we go out to about here. This bit here, you've got the more kind of rounded off. This is the same thing again, where we're taking 1979, like 25, 23, 25 meters to come on the throttle to off the throttle. But that kind of rounds off your speed here. But anyway, that's only a tiny difference. The main thing is the sharpness of the braking. So we can just smooth out that braking. Don't do it as sharply. Then the car won't respond as sharply initially to then wash out, if that makes sense. If you go in slightly more rounded with the brake, it'll load up the nose more gradually, and it'll be less likely to do that in-out kind of motion with the nose cone. Also, the distance we're going. We can go like a shorter distance through this middle part here, according to this anyway. So yeah, you're getting back on the power earlier. Yeah, this is interesting. So although you're on the power sooner, you have to wait longer to get to full power. So you've got this plateau. We've probably spoken about this before. There to there, your speed is like the same, isn't it? 137, 137. Yeah, you basically only increase. Well, even there, it doesn't seem to increase at all. You're basically exactly the same. And we shouldn't see that. I'm trying to think of an example of a corner where you would see that. That's quite rare because normally you've got space to go in fast, slow it down to a point, which is there in this case, and then be speeding up the entire time from there. The reason that yours is plateaued is because you are increasing the throttle, but because you're like loaded up mid-corner and it's scrubbing, that smooth increase in throttle actually isn't enough to actually increase the speed because you've got this trade-off. Whereas I've been off the throttle longer, let it rotate, and then bam, straight to full power. So that the big difference with this is we can go into the entry slightly quicker, but the braking phase is less sharp. And so although we're going quicker, we're just being a little bit more, we're loading up the nose more gradually. Then it'll do everything you tell it to. You won't be like fighting it and feel like you have to be that little bit slower here, and then you'll be able to pick up the speed. You're also going down an extra gear, so try and stay in 4th gear through there as well. That's the other thing. So into the old hairpin, we won't go up a gear and then down 2 gears. We'll just stay the same. Into this long right-hander that I've got no idea what the name is, we will just go down the 1 gear, so down to 4th, and focus on rounded braking, but like a nice tight line to the curb. Since we're on board with you, let's just go to that corner and see what it looked like on this lap. So let's go on board. Yeah, okay. We just turned in a teeny bit late on that one. We turned in a teeny bit late, and yeah, your speed isn't miles different to mine. It's 1k quicker on the entry, so it obviously isn't a speed problem. It's a we could just turn in slightly earlier, but wait. So go in slightly earlier and wait until like here to get back to full throttle, if you see what I mean. And then it won't push you as wide. So you'll have this double whammy of when you get to full throttle, it's full throttle sooner rather than getting a bit on but having to be slower, and you'll be traveling less distance, and it'll just go green, 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 green on your delta by having both of those things together. Hopefully that all made sense. And then final corner we won't really look at, but I think you're looking all right here. You're getting a better exit than me. Yeah, so you're 929 down there, 928. You gain 1,000th between the entry of the final corner and the start line. So final corner's not a worry. First corner's not a worry. There's a little bit here, but it's mainly old hairpin and the long old right-hander. That's it. So let's go just try and do that. Let's do 10 laps again. And then we'll see if there's a change in that data. But it's nice to just have 2 things to focus on. And obviously, as always, just build up some tyre temperature. Don't worry if it's rubbish on the first couple. Oh, nice 360. That was extremely skilled. I like that.
I wish I was able to replicate it more, but sometimes the initial spin just loads up for a perfect spin.
Because this is a nice short track, we've got time for another couple of runs here, so we can really fine-tune this. So let's do a full 10 laps. And like I said, if you crash, don't worry. Just drive back on. Try not to drag too much gravel onto the racing line, but just drive back on, and we'll just carry on with warm tyres. That actually looked quite nice. I think with warmer tyres and slightly less fuel, you'd be looking good with that kind of technique. That was maybe slightly early. I'll clear any penalties there. Right, so from this lap, it should be reasonably good into Old Hairpin coming up. So that's a decent start, that. Decent start. Well held. Nice. That was a nasty moment there. So if you can just keep doing what you did on that last lap, but as the fuel comes down and you get more and more in the zone, you're going to smash your best lap you've done. Just remember to not do that extra gear shift. You saw the moment you did that, it was like an extra thing to have to fit into your deceleration phase and turn in process, and it really spoils the accuracy. That just need a little bit more of a push on the brake. As long as you don't make it sharp, just like a little bit more of a bit more force. Yeah. That was a sausage curb special there, wasn't it? I'm just watching that back. Oh, wow. Yeah, really bounced the rear of your car. It's the way the rear released off the top of the sausage curb. It's just like it launched you round. Yeah, that's actually looking nicer and nicer. Maybe a fraction more of a trail brake just to get the final bit of the nose in to the apex in the Old Hairpin. But in general, that was nice. It just washed out a little tiny bit. And remember the distance on the exit. You did that. You did that transition over to the right a little bit on that lap. I know this lap doesn't really count anyway, but. Very accurate through the chicane. That's nice.
By the way,
Yep. Yep.
quite heavy on the front as well.
Yeah, I went 2 clicks rearward. Only 2 though, because I'm not really braking hard enough for it to matter much more than that. But yeah, I went 2 clicks to the back. I forgot to mention that. That's nice and smooth. Really, really nice. When you hook this up, it looks great. Oh, much more like it. I'd go as far as to say that was nearly perfect, that entry. If you can do that and get to full throttle slightly earlier than you did there, then you've got it nailed. Okay, so that time we did a downshift and did an extreme transition to the right on the exit. Remember, you don't need to do any transition to the right. That was nice though.
The issue is way too focused on the entry.
Yeah, yeah. I'll remind you on this next one. But some of these are looking way better though. Like some of this track looks great. So we'll just nail it all on the same lap. You've still got loads more laps to go. And in that final corner, maybe just wind it back a teeny bit on the entry speed, because the only thing you're losing there, I could see that in the data as well, is you're going in a teeny bit deeper than me, which is just pinching your exit slightly. So a fraction slower on the right-hand entry section, you'll be way faster on the exit. You don't have to slow down a lot more, just a real small amount. You're nearly there with it. It's just with this car, like, entry accuracy is more beneficial than massive mid-corner or entry speed, because the tyres can't cope with it. That was a decent effort through there. Okay, no problem. Right, let's do 2 more laps at the end of this one. And we'll look at your updated lap. Okay. Okay, good. That was very fast entry. I was like, is he going to brake? Right, let's do one more.
It felt really, really good until you see the corner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's do one more. We were a little early getting it turned in that time. It's all right, just finish this lap anyway, just so we've got the full set. When you've got this corner right, it's looked really good.
Yeah, and I can see the timing on it, so it does
This wasn't your best lap. Most of the corners were not your best. Right, okay. Let's have a look at the best one from that set. Okay. Yeah. Corner one actually did look really good. Right, let's have a look. Let's bring that one up. So, where is it? This one here, wasn't it? I know we had an off track, but I don't care. Yeah, okay, you were way, way better through there. Way better. That's good. That's good. Well done, EJ. It's one thing seeing it on the video, but, like, look how much better you were through the middle there. You're just, like, you're now losing so much less time when you get that right. So, yeah, okay, I don't know if that's where you got the off track or whether it's somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. Like, you didn't really gain from that. What you're doing now in terms of technique is just dramatically better. You can still make the braking earlier. So you know that thing, that initial understeer or kind of snappiness from the front where it turns and then washes out. I think that's still because you're going through this bit of the corner, as in the really early entry phase, still quite a bit quicker than me. Like a few kilometers an hour. Both the red and the green are both quicker there. Your lift off the throttle is so strangely slow. I can't remember ever seeing someone's throttle trace that doesn't just go bam off. It's
Can I ask you a question?
Go on. Yeah.
I was thinking when you lift off from, do you just flex your foot, or do you pull back on your legs?
It's a great question. I'm doing it now to try. Probably pull back on my leg a bit as well. Yeah. So it's like I'm like almost like subconsciously, but when I do it now, obviously consciously, fully removing my foot from the picture, like bam, in an instant. But it's a complete reflex. Yeah. Okay. For sure, we can do that. So let's think about that. You also did, on this lap, even though this was your best one, you also did an upshift and a downshift. So you did 2 extra things there that we could remove and still be just as quick. But the brake, that bit can just move earlier. Although you've made it much softer, which is definitely better, we can make it slightly softer again, but just slightly earlier. And then you'll just... So, let's zoom in. And I'll show you on my video too, but it's there versus there. So it's not miles different. I'll show you the exact point. I think it's when we're nearing this go. Oh no, here we go. It's already happened. So it's here. Yeah, it's quite, but it's because it's so gentle. You know, it's really soft, and then it bleeds off quite early. It's just so that you can. So when you turn in initially, I'm not overloading the front end with speed, but then I can. But by doing that earlier brake, it feels really early. But by doing that earlier brake, it gives us the chance to do an earlier throttle as well. So. Yeah. Right, okay. Yep. So you can do like a softer but earlier and then like maybe slightly longer brake from the peak to the end of the... I mean, you're still doing quite a nice little trail there, which is good. I'm just doing a slightly more significant trail. I'm at like 12%, where you're at like 3% trail. So that'll help get that nose in as well. But you've done a really good job of getting it in there. Like, you're way, way better through there now. So don't change it dramatically from what you've been doing there. And on the exit, yeah, you can see how you did the Brad line here. You even went slightly tighter around this bit, which is it's just fine as long as you get over to the left here. It's fine. So in terms of the time, so now we're on the entry. You're like level with me on the entry, which is really good. Before, yeah, you're quicker out of turn one than you were before. So the first section's really good, as we already knew. Then old hairpin. Cumulatively, we're now losing like 2 and a bit tenths rather than 4.5, 5. So that's good. You then gain on me here to here. So this is good. I think it's because we've lost a bit on the entry. So let's just zoom out. So we haven't looked at this corner really, but I think it's called Schwantz, maybe this corner. I'm not 100% sure. So we're 2.37 down there. And so it's only like half a tenth or so through that one. So again, not a major concern there. Like your braking is maybe slightly harder. Yeah, this is the difference. I'm doing a softer, longer brake. You're doing a sharper. All your braking events seem to be quite similar shape. That's obviously like your style or your natural, the way you press the pedal in this car. It is quite sharp and then off. So you can just do softer and slightly longer, and that'll just allow a teeny bit quicker there, and it means you can just be on the power that much earlier. But anyway, you did it slightly differently on the previous lap. You got on the power slightly earlier on the previous one, but there's not a huge concern there. That is only, what are we talking, half a tenth, like I say, over that whole section. And then, no, go on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a really good question. I don't have any tools to change that on mine. It's just, I guess it's just linear on mine. It's just a load cell. So the more pressure I apply, the more it ramps up. I think the way that I would say, if you're finding it spiking a little bit too much, I don't think it's terrible. Like this corner here, for example, that we're about to look at, you're really similar to me. I think you could maybe, what I would be doing is making the pedal firmer, so it takes more effort to get to that pressure, which should round it slightly. Yours is like this concave roundness here, and mine's this convex roundness. And I think that's because I've got to press it harder to make it happen. Whereas yours is like it ramps up really fast and it comes off really fast when you remove it. If that makes any kind of sense. Yes, exactly. It is. It's just like that. Just on this corner, you've massively improved again. So you've gone from having like this step where you're 6 tenths down and then you're down to like 8, 9 tenths down. Now you're on the approach 0.278 and we're losing like 1 tenth now. And the reason we're losing a tenth is purely because in this part here, as you're hitting that first apex, you're like 3k quicker and it pushes you a little bit deeper here, and that means you've got slightly slower exit. It might be also because you're trying to get on the power at a point where you're already going a little bit quicker than me, and you get on the gas just here. It's this little kind of middle on the approach to the apex. It's like you touch the throttle and that maybe just pushes you that bit wider. But in general, that's a really decent corner. To only be losing 1 tenth, and bear in mind, this is 1 tenth off of the best lap I did in a 10-lap run. So most of my laps are probably worse than that. So I think that's pretty good. So where is still the biggest chunks before? This is really, because you're so close now, we're looking only at just under 4 tenths over the whole lap. So that 1 tenth is a quarter of the time you're missing to me. So if we can just polish that and just be even tighter at this bit here, just so we're not giving away this distance, that would be great. And that it's just about going over that apex at a slightly slower speed, so you're able to be tighter, and when you get to full throttle, even you'll be earlier and be going a shorter distance. That's the whole tenth, is that, basically. And then the other one, So from Old Hairpin. Yeah, so there's still 2/10 through Old Hairpin. So we can still gain a little bit through that little section. But really it's that and that. That's almost all of the time over the whole lap. So if we're going to be perfect, we can just brake a fraction earlier, like we said, to then carry a teeny bit more mid-corner speed. We're only talking 4 kilometers an hour. And then let's just see what that does. Let's see if we... Oh, and obviously I'm trying to avoid these extra gear shifts, the up and the down. But we're talking real fine-tuning now. Like, if I now remove the red one, we're going to have 2 lines that are really close to each other. Like, I'm red now. Yeah. So, yeah, that one there. We're losing a little time. Yeah, this is a bit more easy to see now because we've only got these 2. So now it's that there to there. Yeah, okay. There, 254. So it's a 1/10 and a half there, just by trying to go in a little bit too quick, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's what we should work on now. So tiny bit more mid-corner speed through Old Hairpin by braking slightly earlier, weirdly. And this Schwantz curve, which I'm pretty sure it's called that, it might be a different one. Similar, the entry, like the final approach to the apex, if we slow that down, you'll then be quicker off the corner all the way down that mini straight. So that's some speed. It's just the final approach to the apex where you're slightly quicker. And the same with this long corner. It's exactly the same. This little bit here, the final approach to the apex, there to there, is where you're slightly quicker. It's where you're just coming off the brakes slightly soon. But we're talking such fine details. It's going to be tough to find this. But let's go try. Let's go do it. We've got time, haven't we? Yeah, we've got another 10 minutes. So let's go do the last 10. You've done really, really well there, man. You're very close. And this is just in 2 little 10-lap runs. And most of those laps, the car isn't at its optimum, so you can't achieve that. So never raced. I've driven around Donington a lot. I've never raced. I've never had a series go here that I've been racing in. Not in real life. It really is. Okay, nice start. It's a good cold tyre first lap, that. Oh, I've lost your... Oh, you're back. Must have been an internet signal issue. Just a tiny bit entry speed greedy, I think.
Yeah, well, it's when you're
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. Now your tyres are rock solid for a few laps.
also it's quite short laps.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the issue might have been on my side in regards to clubhouse
Okay.
connection. I got a abnormal lap discontinued.
Right, okay. It's alright. It wasn't a lap we cared about anyway. So that was a decent effort. I think just a little tiny bit too much apex speed. It just didn't have the front end to drag you around a little bit tighter. Just remember not to do that downshift or that sweep. I'm just going to keep reminding you so you break the habit.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just watching that back to see exactly what happened. Yeah, we went in a bit quick, and then you were like, down, down, ah! Just ran out of space. Yeah, okay. So definitely that kind of final entry phase to each apex, you're naturally inclined to carry a bit more speed than this car can ideally cope with. And it then obviously costs you on the early exit sections. That was a bit of a bounce, wasn't it?
Yeah. I always tend to have a near that corner. You sort of put your inside wheel pad at the backside of the curve.
Yeah.
Obviously too much.
Nice exit. So apart from a little bit of extra distance and having to lift in the middle of the long right-hander, Like, it actually, I know that sounds like I'm saying it wasn't good. It was nearly good. If we were a teeny bit slower at the apex, it wouldn't have pushed as wide. So you're nearly there now with it.
I think it might have been actually probably possibly early on power also.
Yeah, and that it can have the same effect. And we saw that in the data, didn't we? We saw you had the inclination to just touch the gas a tiny bit early in the middle of the corner. I should have said it before, but avoid that downshift. Avoid this sweep to the right. That's nice. Some of these corners you're really, really good at. Like, no problem whatsoever. Okay, that was good. That looked nice. I don't know what the delta looked like, but that was definitely a starting point. It looked... Okay, it looked really tidy. It was where my brain wanted you to be. Very accurate there. Excellent chicane as well. Nice.
It just feels like I could have mentioned it faster.
Okay.
But that was probably a bit of the handling tricks of this car.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you feel like you could have gone quicker, but then if you did go quicker, it would have understeered. So don't downshift. So in real life, EJ, when I've been sitting next to people in various cars and I know they're going to do that same thing, what I would do is I physically hold my hand behind the paddle so they can't shift. And even then, when I'm saying do not downshift and my hand is in the way, they still try and click the paddle. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. So don't worry, it's not just you. It's like a natural thing. It's because you're driving subconsciously and it doesn't matter that you consciously heard me say a thing. You're trying to fight against like your, at the moment, natural tendency. So that's fine. It's funny when it happens in real life though. That's nice. Very sweet first corner. So don't upshift and don't downshift. Stay in this gear all the way through here. Beautiful. And you could carry even more speed. I should have said don't go wide on the exit, but don't worry. Really decent as well. Let's just get through this final chicane neatly. So I'm sure you've done the final chicane better than that before, but I'll take that as a lap. I know it wasn't quicker. If you just park that somewhere, EJ, just so I can take that data, I know you can go quicker than that. But there were parts of that lap, which although that wasn't your fastest lap of the day, there were parts of that lap that were good. Was it the fastest legal lap? Yeah, because you did a 0.5 before, but you got off track somewhere. So let's just see where that one was better. Just wait for that to load. Any minute now. There we go. Yeah, so that was your fastest legal one. Let's add that in as green. That's annoying. It's deleted the previous one. Right, okay, so we still gave away a little bit of time there. Wow. In fact, the up until old hairpin, you're really, really close. Like, so turn 1, 2, all good. Old hairpin, definitely we're giving away a bit. Okay, so we can see it's the same thing. So the reason that we're losing that time is because we're doing a late, sharp break. So correct gear though. Look at the flat line on the gear. So that's good. That we're exactly the same in terms of gear trace. But for sure, you're still trying to go in a bit faster than me into old hairpin. And we're not positioned all the way at the edge. So that's definitely a thing we can improve on. So I'll tell you what, let me make some notes on this. Just so we can... let's give you a green here. First two corners are mega. I can spell back up. There we go. So don't change those. This is where we want to start changing. So use all the track to the left. We're going to do like bullet points. Brake less sharply and 10 meters earlier. The other thing I want to add to this is I can't see whether or not you're lifting quicker now. Let's have a look. Yeah, we still and again, I'm still not sure if that's your foot or if that's the pedal spring, but throttle lift phase is taking too long. I'm just going to leave it like that. So whatever the issue is, whether it's an engineering thing with your physical pedal or whether it's your foot, then that just wants to be faster, because the fact that you're having this rounded off there to there that's losing you time in like a lot of corners. So, but it's that brake that's too sharp and too late that's causing this gap here. So fixing, if I can find delete. There we go. I've got a cable from my steering wheel rubbing on the keyboard. Fixing those early entry issues will lift this minimum speed. Okay, so this is still the main bit. This is still the bit where we can gain the most time in one, because it's nearly 4/10 through there. This is looking all right. So this one, there's still this bit here where we're slowing down a little early, and then being tempted to go through this bit a bit fast, which then pushes you wide on the exit. But the main thing I'm going to say here is to do with the brakes again. Let's round off this braking a little. So instead of that sharp bit and that sharp all at once, and then by the time you actually get into the corner, you've got no weight on the nose, we want softer, but all the way into the corner. I'm still braking at this point here, so that's helping me get the nose around a bit more. So that's that. We haven't really focused on that corner. This is one we did focus on though. Your exit it felt good, and it is good. Look at that. Like, that whole exit now is spot on. So apex onwards, you're really good here now, and you're only like half a car wider than me now. So the only thing we want to change here is that sharpness of the brake. If you did exactly the same brake, just without the intensity, that would take away this entry being a little bit too slow, because from there to there, you could be going quicker, but you achieve the correct minimum speed. So all I'm going to write here, in fact I should probably do it on the brake section here. Brake timing is spot on, but we can remove the peak slightly and increase the brake point to apex speed, if that makes sense. Now, before you would the other way. Before you were a bit too quick here, so that's fine. Like, this is you've gone in the right direction, and it's meant that you've nailed the exit. But that's where then we have to kind of go a little bit too far each side of the ideal to eventually settle on the perfect. And then final corner. What happened here? We had a little loss there. It felt worse than that actually, but we only lost like 1/10.5. But all I'm going to write, like, your brake phase here is really nice. All I'm going to write here is, on other laps, you were much better than this. So this isn't really representative. You had to back off the gas here because I think you went through the middle a tiny bit quick. Maybe we hit the curb. Yeah, I think you just clipped the curb there. So.
Also, I think it's just when you get to so your timing, I think, goes up by maybe almost 4%.
Yep.
So the mental block.
Yeah. You tighten up a bit. I know exactly what you mean with that. But you're really good, man. As always, you're really close. You're not that far away. I mean, I know that says 7/10, but in reality, I think you're more like half a second if you do like one of your normal laps. And the potential is there to go more, because even on this one, which was your quickest legal one, you still did stuff like this. You still were like, 10 kilometers an hour, 11 kilometers an hour slow through the middle of Old Hairpin, and went wide on the exit. So just perfecting that's a chunk of time. That's half the gap, just that one corner. So Yeah, I think you're good. You're going to do well, man. Yeah, just go find, just go take it. Not find. You don't need to find it because you know what it is. Just go and take it. I'm just going to